Good morning. So we in Sarasota have been grieving since November the 5th. Our members are disappointed, angry, hurt, and we are working to redirect ourselves. And grieving does not come easy for some. And while it's not the same type of grief, there is a story about a man who recently lost his wife. And he was walking with a longtime friend along a stony beach. Is there a photo of that? There we go. And the man had felt that his grief had left him, that feeling he could no longer cope. And he felt that his life would not be worthwhile again. So the friend stooped and picked up a smooth, rounded stone, and he explained that over time, like the stone, the sharp edges of his pain would smooth, and then he would come to feel like he could handle the pressures of his life once again. And they walked on for a while, and the man said that he understood, and he asked if he could keep the stone as a reminder of the message. All of us, particularly recently, have borne some sharp edges in our lives, and like the stone, we have endured the smoothing of the edges. And if we still have some sharp edges, it's just because we need more time. And it helps if we have a community where we can find our common threads. Next photo, please. So I invite you to take a moment and contemplate what rough edges might still exist in your life. It may be time to smooth them over. One very nice lady here this morning, I don't remember which one, asked me if we had a full-time minister, and I said, sure we do. It's Jay Wolin, who interned here, and who sends his regards. And I said, yes, we have a full-time minister. And she said, oh, she's really hungry for a good sermon. And I said, I'm going to speak anyway. That actually did not happen here, But that did happen. I spoke at the UU Church in western Volusia County. I don't know how many UU churches there are in western Volusia County, but I spoke there, and that actually did happen. So in August of 2001, just before the tragic events of 9/11, I was the picture of health. I worked for the University of Missouri, and I had just returned from a backpacking trip in the Rocky Mountains, where I'd carried about 40 pounds on my back through elevations of 10 and 11,000 feet. But on this particular day, having just jogged on campus at lunchtime, I didn't feel quite right. And since Mizzou has a teaching medical center on campus, I walked into ER. And they asked me what was wrong. I said, I don't know. I just don't feel right. And they did not ask me any questions. They put me in a wheelchair, and they wheeled me right into ER. And the doctor came over, and he said, can you stand and get on that examination table? So I did, and he said, can you unbutton your shirt? And I undid 2 buttons, and I slipped onto the floor in cardiac arrest. The file shows that they gave me CPR. They shocked me 4 times with the paddles. I was revived, coded again, and got shocked another 4 times with the paddles. So they got me in the cath lab, and I received what was the first of now 10 stents. The next day, a cardiologist came into my room and said, Bill, you were dead on the table twice yesterday. So why am I talking about this? Well, the subject that I'm talking about today is so important I've come back from the dead twice to talk about it. So may I have the photo of Jack London? So most of you know of Jack London because of the book, The Call of the Wild. But he was one of the first American authors to commercialize fiction, and he accumulated a substantial fortune. He was also a journalist, a war correspondent, and an activist. His output was prolific with over 50 novels, 100 short stories, numerous poems, and 3 plays, all by the age of 40. What did you do by the time you were 40? And just a couple of months before he died at the age of 40, Jack London was having a discussion with a reporter and some friends, and they were discussing living and dying. And he reportedly said, "I would rather be ashes than dust," and went on to say, "The proper function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time." Jack London intended to have purpose in his life. Before Jack London, there was Stephen Grellet. Another photograph, the last. Thank you. Stephen Grellet lived from 1773 to 1855, and he was a prominent French-born American Quaker missionary. Impressed by the writings of William Penn and the Quaker beliefs, Grellet joined the Society of Friends in 1796. He became involved in extensive missionary work across North America and most of the countries of Europe. And he wrote, "I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can show to any fellow creature, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again." Stephen Grellet had purpose in his life. Now, it doesn't seem to me that Jack London and Stephen Grellet were ordinary people. And my topic today is about ordinary people, like me, finding purpose in life. For many years, my purpose in life was to become a good golfer. Alas, I am an avid, if not a good golfer. I've played over 3,500 rounds in my last 40 years. And on most Mondays, I would go through the drive-thru at McDonald's on the way to the golf course for a cup of coffee. And for an extended period of time a few years ago, I was greeted at the payment window by a man named Robert. I didn't know his last name, and it doesn't matter. And I found myself looking forward to seeing Robert every Monday morning because he was one of the nicest people I'd ever met. He would greet me with an enthusiastic good morning. And he would say, "How are you this fine day?" Now, of course, he said this to everyone, but he made it sound very personal and very special. And when he handed me my change, he would say, "You have a great day now." When I came through the drive-thru a few times with my dogs, he had treats for my dogs. And if I came back later without the dogs, he would ask me about my dogs. So I chatted with Robert enough to know that he worked from 4 a.m. to noon on most days. But he was still cheerful. He was missing some teeth. He was overweight. His grammar was poor. And my assumption is that his lot in life was not the best. But he was just very nice and very pleasant. And one morning, Robert wasn't there. And I asked the young lady where he was. And she said he'd had a massive heart attack and died just the day before. And it broke my heart. As I drove away, I wondered, what was his purpose in life? And then I thought, what's my purpose in life? Now, I've had other occasions to think about that, of course. Many. But I attended a class reunion in 2004, and I struck up a conversation with Mary Fran Raynault, and I liked her. And after I retired, I called her and asked her if I could visit her in New Jersey. And she must have said yes, because she's been in my life now for 16 years. And when I arrived at her front door in New Jersey on Thanksgiving weekend, the door was answered by a tall black man. And I was surprised. But I learned that he was simply the last in a long line of African refugees whom she had helped find political asylum. The others had all been women who had been driven out of their homes, women who had seen their families slaughtered, women who had been gang raped, and all who had to leave their homes to seek a better life. And Mary Fran provided a haven, taught them to drive, helped them to find work, helped them become independent. One of these ladies became an attorney in Canada and named her firstborn child after Mary Fran. So Mary Fran had also been a volunteer ambulance driver. She started the Planned Parenthood office in her town. And whenever she answered the phone, her first question was always, "Are you okay?" And I thought that was strange. I would answer the phone and say, "Hey, how are you?" But that was like a greeting. But Mary Fran would actually say, "Are you okay? Is everything all right? Is there anything I can do?" And again, I just thought that was strange. So I asked her one day why she answered the phone like that. And she said, "I was raised to be my brother's keeper. Weren't you?" When I thought back, my dad raised me to get a job, work hard, and take good care of my family. And I thought, apparently, Mary Fran's family was just a lot bigger than mine. She was also the president of her UU congregation in New Jersey. Now, mind you, I went to visit for a weekend. I just never left. And I would go to church with her. The people were very welcoming. They were friendly. They were pretty liberal for a Midwestern conservative. And we went to lunch after services one Sunday, and I forget the gist of the conversation, but it was about politics. And I told Mary Fran she was too smart to be a Democrat. She told me I was too dumb to be a Democrat. But here we are. We moved to Sarasota, and I got involved, and I've been a member of our church since 2011. A few years ago in Sarasota, our then minister, Roger Fritz, gave a sermon called Using the Time We Have. And in that sermon, Roger referenced a book called The Purpose-Driven Life, written by Rick Warren, minister. And Roger quoted from that book, "It is not about you. The purpose of your life is far greater than your own personal fulfillment, your peace of mind, or even your happiness. It's far greater than your family, your career, or even your wildest dreams and ambitions." And I thought, who lives that kind of life? Most likely Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King have lived that kind of life, but I have not. I'm a rather ordinary guy, having lived an ordinary life. I attend services on Sunday. I love it, and I always leave feeling more benevolent and more at peace. But I still wonder about the purpose of life. And as I thought back, I lived my life in stages, getting through grade school, junior high, high school, getting through the Marine Corps and college. And the purpose of each stage of my life was to get to the next stage of my life. I graduated from college, I got a job, got married, had kids, tried to get ahead, see the kids grow up, see them go through the same stages that I did. Soon I'm retired. And then I wondered, what is the purpose of my life? Surely the early purpose of life was just survival. Life was and is a struggle. Early humans' total purpose was to feed and clothe themselves, shelter themselves, and perpetuate the human race. So we have evolution and survival of the fittest. And you fast forward, and here we are today. We take food and shelter as a given, but not everybody can do that. So I've been retired for 17 years. As I've said before, life is good, and I still ask, what is the purpose? And I wonder, have I contributed to this world at all? And in Sarasota, every Sunday we sing, Spirit of Life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. And I literally choke up almost every Sunday. So I've been both a UU and a member of Sarasota since 2011. I am amazed by others who are so full of passion, burning passions about many issues. The environment, homelessness, hunger, gay rights, voting rights, illiteracy, women's rights. And our generation was passionate about those issues. And we marched and we demonstrated. And we worked on political campaigns. And today we still may be as passionate about those issues, but maybe we just don't have the energy that we did back then. And I think that's probably okay, because I know just watching the evening news these days wears me out. But I still wonder, how can I serve a purpose? Unitarian Universalists, both locally and nationally, provide a foundation for those who have burning passions. I donate my time and my money to the functions of the church, and I find purpose in that. I believe that my support enables others to act on their passions, and I find purpose in that. I vote my beliefs, and I find purpose in that. So here I am, an octogenarian with health issues, hoping that I have not wasted my life, hoping that I have somewhere along the way been a value-added asset. And I find purpose in attending to my family relationships. I have thought things, said things, done things of which I am ashamed. But I want to serve a purpose, and I believe that atonement is part of serving a purpose. We had a visiting minister a few years ago, William McGee, and he delivered a wonderful sermon on forgiveness. And he said, only truth heals a relationship. And he added, forgiveness is the process that reshapes our relationships. I've had plenty to apologize for in my life. He went on to say, let no heart be troubled by things left unsaid, and we must forgive ourselves for being imperfect. And I find purpose in these words. I find purpose in attending to my relationships with my kids. I have 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandkids, and they are all important to me, but I wonder if I let them know that. I wonder how they will remember me. You know, you would know this, but they're all different, and they all have different strengths, weaknesses. They all have different needs. And attending to each one of those relationships is different. I mean, I can't believe those 3 kids were raised in the same family. Mother Teresa once said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. So my kids and grandkids do things that I don't agree with, but I try not to be judgmental. They live their lives, and they do not need my approval. But I feel very strongly they also do not need my disapproval. So I tell them I love them. I tell them I'm proud of them. And I find purpose in that. I am fortunate to have friendships that go back 40 to 50 years. Those friendships have been challenged recently because of politics, COVID, time, and distance. Most of my friends are a long way right of center. But I love them, and I will not let today's political chaos destroy those long-time relationships. And I find purpose in that. And I attend to my relationship with Mary Fran, the most meaningful person in my life. I do not do that as well as I should. She introduced me to Unitarian Universalism, and I thank her for that. She has given me a relationship where every day is not a battle, and I thank her for that. And I love her, and I find purpose in that. I also believe you can find a very important purpose in holding others to high standards. The ethical standards of so many today, whether in sports, entertainment, and unfortunately our government, are abysmal. We need to let them know that there is a price for that. And I find purpose in that. And maybe that little round smooth stone needs a couple sharp edges in them. Just keep reminding some people. And so I am who I am. I am a UU in training. And as for life, living life to a higher purpose, I would like to again quote Mother Teresa. Not all of us can do great things, but we can all do small things with great love. And so I keep trying, and I ask what small thing I can do with great love. And I remember the words of Reverend McGee. Let no heart be troubled by things left unsaid. Tell someone you love them. Tell someone you're sorry. Tell someone you forgive them. And maybe forgive yourself for being imperfect. Let no heart be troubled by things left unsaid. And as for my friend Robert at McDonald's, what was his purpose in life? Maybe it was simply to make people like us feel good. And he did that very, very well. So it occurs to me I've not said anything about the coming holidays. I actually prepared this sermon to be here in October. So, if there was anything about the holidays then, it would have been Halloween. But I extend to you my best wishes, however you mark and observe the holidays, and I wish you time with loved ones, and if not with loved ones, with fond holiday memories of loved ones. Thank you.